Is that less stupid? I don't know if it's less stupid because I can't even tell if it's running. Okay, now it's running. And it looks a little less stupid. Jesus. What do you want? Maintenance recommended. That's great. Go away. What is this connected to? Is it really that quiet? There we go. Now it's going to be very annoying and loud. There we go. Now it's going to be very annoying and loud. Okay. Since I am stuck at a customer that is supposed to be live loading a trailer that was supposed to be preloaded, I had some more thoughts on the camera system that I thought I would talk about. And my genius butt, I thought, well, I'll just bring up the laptop and do it that way instead of trying to use one of my GoPros. And boy, oh boy, was it not simple. My camera didn't exist, and now my camera does exist, and then I didn't even turn the camera on. Um, and trying to run OBS. I've used OBS to record games, not so much do live streaming. I'm not much of a professional with this. But I wanted to bring up the laptop specifically because go home. Home. No, home. Just go to the main page, you stupid thing. My God. Anyway, I wanted to bring it up on the camera because the company did a live stream. Actually, they did two of them. They did one a week ago, and they just did another one yesterday. To try and answer questions. And I noticed both of these are short. This one's 28 minutes, this one's 25 minutes. So I'm very curious to see what sort of things they actually answer because I have questions and people have been leaving some interesting notes on my last video. Not too many of them. I thought there'd be more, but it is what it is. So I was thinking I would go ahead and watch one or both of these and put in my thoughts. So let's take a look at the one from last week. Should I
Yeah.
this?
Hello. Welcome.
Hello and welcome to our live feed. My name is Dennis Davis. I'm the Director of Safety at Prime Incorporated. With me, I have our IT guru, Brianne Madura, and she's going to help us answer some questions that we're going to field from you guys live as it pertains to our announcement that we are going forward with implementing the Netradyne technology in all of our trucks. This is both the inward-facing and outward-facing cameras. So we're looking forward to answering some questions. We know there's some good information going on out there. There's some bad information going on out there. And either way, we're here to answer the questions that you have. Of course, one of the things that we always want you to do is hear from the leadership of the company. If you haven't already done so, are you interested? Please go back and view our.
Is this working? Because all I'm seeing on my end is buffering. I have a network thing here somewhere. Zero drop frames. Okay. That's just my phone being stupid then.
Our Friday morning safety meeting that we do every Friday morning from May 10th, and view or just specifically go to YouTube and put in Prime Netradyne announcement, and you can hear directly from our CEO and founder, Mr. Robert Lowe, and our president, Daryl Hopkins, about some of the whys behind the what. All right, I'm ready to answer some questions.
Cool. Hit us. Okay. One of the main things that people were concerned about was privacy. How are we combating privacy with an inward-facing camera? This is their home. That's been a huge term. How are we as a company going to protect our drivers?
So I'll kind of start there, and kudos to Brianne. Her and I have been working kind of in tandem since the beginning of this pilot. Seems like almost a year ago at this point. And of course, as we've said publicly, we've said at our Friday morning meetings, we've said on podcasts that we didn't have any intention of having any inward-facing recording or anything where drivers can be seen, okay? Our goal was to have some type of AI technology to be able to identify handheld devices, seatbelt usage, and distracted driving. As we went into that initial phase and started to see what the technology had available, I started to get that gut feeling that we really need this. But at that point, Brianne, remember, we didn't have any filter or anything at that point, so it didn't really make it a big deal. We stuck steadfast with what our ideology was, and as we kind of dwindled the companies down, dwindled it down a little bit more, we got down to two that were able to provide their own brand of inward-facing camera recording with a privacy filter that no other company in the industry, at least at that point, and probably at this point, had ever had for their trucks. And the initial, mindset was, oh, this is something that'll take 2 years to develop or something like that. But one of the things that we appreciate about Netradyne is they stepped up to the challenge and got it done a lot faster. And even after that, we still had some pauses and some cautions. But as we evaluate,
Faster doesn't mean better.
And as I looked at it, I really couldn't convince myself why this wasn't a good idea. Of course, our drivers' privacy, what they do, whether or not driving, what any passenger or anybody in the bunk is doing, is none of our business. We're not interested in that. But when that became a non-issue, when the blurred video was secured, couldn't convince myself that it wasn't a good idea. And I had to ask myself some basic questions. Does it make us safer? Does it make us better? The answers to those questions are yes. So, we kind of shifted our focus and started to get involved with that privacy. So at this point, we're proud to say that nobody's privacy is going to be compromised. And if you feel like your privacy is while you're driving down the road, then we'll have to agree to disagree. I think it's important for us and for you to be able to go back and watch or evaluate what you, the driver, or your trainee, or whatever the case may be, is doing behind the road, doing behind the wheel of the truck, so we can go back and coach and counsel and correct anything going wrong.
So I'm going to add a little bit to the privacy what we're talking about. We have 3 different kind of scenarios. So we have key off. So if the engine is off, the only camera that is recording is the outward facing. That's for things if you get hit in a parking lot. If you're, somewhere, truck is off, you want that external view. So that's number 1. So the second part is key on, in motion. So if your key is on and you're in motion above 5 miles per hour, then that inward is available, but it's only shoulder to shoulder of the person behind the steering wheel. So everything else is blurred. So you don't see anything in the passenger seat, you don't see the sleeper, any of those things. It's really shoulder to shoulder. And then if you are key on but not in motion, the screen, the camera inward is 100% blurred. So if you're stopped somewhere waiting for loading, unloading, kind of, in process, but the truck is not in motion, there is no inward camera at all. So if you wanted to sit there while you were parked and get out your phone, find some directions, make a couple calls, whatever it would be with phone in hand, privacy when you're not in motion. So hopefully that gives you kind of a couple scenarios of where that privacy kicks in.
So what they don't explain is how. So the company has been going on and on about this blurred video thing. And somebody brought up where does the blur happen? So the AI is what controls where the box is. Her whole shoulder-to-shoulder thing is that the camera sees you as a driver, recognizes your position in the cab, draws a box around you, and blurs out everything else. The question is that done on board the camera itself in the truck, or is that done in the cloud somewhere? Because theoretically, anything in the cloud can be hacked. Therefore, if there is an unblurred version of the video that is going into the cloud, theoretically that data exists and can be extracted. So that was a concern that some people have talked about, was like, you say it's blurred, you say nobody has access to the feed, but what proof do we have that that's true, that that's actually happening? I also find it fascinating that the blur was the answer to the entire privacy issue. And like even right now, I can look at the camera and it's got a red light and a green light on it. So according to her, that means it's currently watching what's happening outside the truck, but theoretically not watching me. And the only indicator I have of that is one little red light. I know for a fact these cameras can stream unblurred video because Netradyne, in their own demonstrations, showed another company running the same camera system, and the video from inside the driver's cab was entirely unblurred, which makes me think that that the blurring is done externally, that it's not done on board, that the AI and the computing is all done in the cloud, that it's cloud computing, not local computing. Meaning that, yeah, there would be an unblurred video somewhere. Somebody else mentioned that a similar camera in another company's truck came with like a shutter So it had like a physical thing that you could cover the camera with built onto it for when you were stopped. I could see where Prime wouldn't want that because you could totally just fucking, oh, I forgot. Sorry. But as an actual day-to-day driver, I mean, it would give you an actual sense of security to have a physical thing that you can put in front of that camera to know 100% that it cannot see you. So there's an ongoing concern with the privacy there because if it is all being done in the cloud, then that means that video is going somewhere else and then being altered.
We've got one from
Continue.
YouTube here. Jeff Wilson wants to know what order will the cameras be put in the trucks? Is it random order? Is there any sort of pattern to that?
I'm gonna take that one. We don't know yet. We're still working on it. You know, part of this is also we're trying out some new mobile comm systems. So if you haven't heard, you know, we're also piloting a new mobile comm as a Qualcomm replacement.
Yeah. So as far as the random goes, let me skip ahead. Currently, they are quote-unquote testing the cameras. They've put them in about 200, 150 to 200 trucks so far. All of those trucks were volunteers. Now they're trying to push that number up to 300 and then quote-unquote pause at 300 while they continue testing. Theoretically, they're not going to force anyone to have the cameras until they're done with the testing phase. So theoretically, only drivers who volunteer for the program or possibly new trucks without drivers sitting on the yards getting picked up, those ones might have the cameras installed on them. And yes, they are testing this new GeoTab tablet alongside the camera system. So it's kind of a thing because I have to install both systems. So we'll skip ahead to, let's see. Hello, will the new camera work in hand with the new ELD?
YouTube, will the camera D system, and then will we get dinged for using trucker path while driving to find a truck stop?
If you have that phone in your hand, you will get dinged because that is
false.
It's illegal. You cannot be using your phone either in your hand looking at it or talking on it. Either of those motions are not legal. So yes, that would be. If you have it set up and you've already navigated to it and you have it kind of in your navigation going, then no. It's really in your hand, actively touching that device where it's not that one-click kind of situation. I don't remember what the first question was, though.
So supposedly one of the big points of this camera system as far as the inward-facing camera was to detect driver distractions. So phone was number one on the list. The thing is supposed to detect that you're on your phone and give you a warning, and if you don't listen to the warning, then it will start recording you, and that's sort of like an event, I guess. Now, I have been very thoroughly testing mine. And without trying to exactly admit to fucking around with my phone while driving, I pull my phone up quite a lot. I like to take pictures out the window, which means holding the phone for 5 or 6 seconds, and I've occasionally taken pictures of my cat, which takes 5 or 6 seconds. I can do all of that one-handed without looking at the phone itself. However, the phone is in my hand during that period of time when I am doing that. I have also gotten pretty good over the years about being able to adjust my music with one hand with like 2 fingers while still watching the road. The point being, I have not been dinged once. It's not tight. Isn't that time? Fuck's sake, I swear to God. We're gonna have to come back to this. Always some shit, I swear to God. I don't know what we. There, I'm not unhooked. Are you happy? Jesus Christ. I have specific directions that say you have to pull forward, you have to unhook, or it's a fucking service failure. I need you to hook back up and press up against the dock. It's not tight enough. We can't get the dock in. Jesus fucking Christ. On the bright side, I'll have a better idea of when they're done loading me now. Every trucker does the same when they have to poop. All of a sudden, they pull up trucker path to find the closest truck stop. To be honest, I don't really use trucker path. I use the POI system on my GPS more than anything. I have no idea what I was talking about before that all just happened, so we're just going to continue on. Oh yeah, dinged. One of the primary points of the camera system was that it would detect when you were using your phone. I have been using my phone on and off multiple times. I have messed with my GPSs as well. And I've had the camera for 2 months. And I have not gotten a single alert for holding my phone. Not one. And given that driver distraction like that was supposed to be one of their number one things about having the driver facing camera, it's like, okay, so like the first week I was afraid to even touch my phone. And then I kind of got more and more relaxed about it to the point where now I'm driving the same way I did before I had the camera, and I still haven't gotten dinged once for touching my phone. Not once.
Will the new camera system work with ELDs?
It does. And so that is how we know who's driving. It all functions through that new ELD. And we're not taking anybody's fingerprints. We're not doing any facial scans to identify.
Whoa, 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 whoa. No facial scans, you say? When I got my camera, I had to sign a piece of paper that was from the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio says that these cameras and their AI systems are so involved that the data they collect amounts to facial recognition. And I had to sign a piece of paper acknowledging that.
Any type of person that way, it's all through that ELD. It's who's on the drive line, and that's who gets attributed those videos. So if there's any questions or problems, that's where all that comes from, is straight from the ELD.
Can you kind of go deeper into the point system?
Indo says, I don't like the built-in mic. It's supposed to have one, I think. However, none of the videos that I have been sent by the company have had any audio in them. So I guess that's another query to ask is, do the cameras they're installing in our trucks actually have mics in them, or don't they? If they do, again, where does that data go? Who has access to it?
Sure, we can go deep into the point system. So the point system that they're referring to is called the Netradyne Green Zone. All right, and what it does is it analyzes every single minute of driving and gives a sliding scale of points, starting with a perfect score of 1,000 points per day, and for different driving maneuvers, following too close, maybe distracted driving, rolling a stop sign, failing to stop at a red light, anything like that. Of course, it deducts points for that, but also you have the opportunity to gain those points back or even earn extra points. So in theory, you can have a 1,050 point day being a perfect day of driving plus extra points. We call those green stars. When you, for example, if there's a nun in the road with a baby and a puppy, and you have to slam on the brakes, triggering a hard brake, and with our current telematics, that's just a hard brake. No matter what it is, no matter what the situation, you had to jam on the brakes, that's going to be reflected as a hard brake. With the new technology, not only will that not be a ding on your score, that will be a reward situation where it gives you a green star and brings your score up a little bit.
So the score system, in my opinion, is a bunch of shit. The whole 1,000 points thing. So the biggest issue I have with the score system is there is zero transparency about what actually affects it and how it affects it. So, like, I can look at mine every day, and mine has been hovering in, like, the 970, 980 range, and it'll have zero events, and the only thing it's listing that it might have vaguely been upset about is following distance. But there's no metric to explain, okay, well, you followed this many vehicles for this amount of time, this closely, and that was what affected your score this much. There's nothing like that. So, like, I'm looking at my scores right now, and, like, a couple days ago, May 27th, I got 1,001. It gave me a +1 point that day. And it has no events, no stars, nothing. It just says that my average following distance was 3.6 seconds. But beyond that, I have no idea what I did to earn those extra points. And then let's see, I'll skip ahead to another day. Come on, move. I know the signal sucks here, but you need to load. Okay, fine, be stupid. There we go. The day before, I got 972. And it put a flag out for average following distance, and my average following distance was 3.5. So 3.5 to 3.6 apparently cost me 30 points on my green score, because that's what it's telling me. So that's all it's telling me. It's not giving me any further information than that at all. The driver stars are also bullshit. A lot of drivers have pointed out that it's like being in kindergarten and getting a star for doing a good job, and that's exactly what it is. Driver stars are their cute little adorable reward system for quote unquote doing the right thing. So like if a car cuts you off and you brake pretty aggressively to drop back, they'll give you a star for that and go, good job, you created distance. That's the only thing I've gotten stars for, is quote unquote creating distance when there's been like somebody else cut me off or something. I've never seen a star for anything else. Also along the lines of the CER system that we currently have versus this new star system, is that they're not apparently recording the same things. So about a month ago, I was in Michigan. I was in a construction zone in the left lane. I was looking at getting back into the right-hand lane when traffic in front of me suddenly began to slow down dramatically. But I wasn't concerned because I was literally already changing lanes. I had already begun to move. The truck's radar, however, saw traffic slowing down in front of me, saw that I wasn't slowing down, and initiated a braking intervention. It triggered a critical event. The camera didn't record anything. There was no event, no nothing from the camera system. Yeah, what are we, kindergartners? Yep, that has been the argument. I'm going to go ahead and continue.
What the future holds for that green zone and those green stars are green dollars.
By the way, if I get a green light and I have to leave before I am done with these videos, then I will have to do a part 2 later.
A vision for the next phase of our safety bonus is for it to be data driven. Right now, the safety bonus is based on the fact that you didn't have an accident over the last 13 weeks. And that's important. That's great. I want it to be based on the fact not only did you not have an accident, but you've displayed habits that you are one of our best drivers in the fleet over that same time period.
So you can earn.
Okay, then I have a question from the lease side. Lease side does not get safety bonuses. Only company drivers get safety bonuses. So what are you going to give the lease guys for getting stars and green zone stuff?
Stars for things like moving over for an emergency vehicle in that right-hand lane, creating separation if somebody cuts in front of you. There's also some things called streaks. So if you get so many stop signs, if you've stopped at so many stop signs, if you've kept your following distance at a certain amount, if you've gone through a certain number of traffic lights and haven't had any yellow or red light running, that also can create different streaks. And so they're actually adding a few new ones, but there's a lot of options there, and those all contribute kind of to that overall driving score that you can kind of earn every day.
Well,
I've never gotten a streak. Not for stop signs, not for stop lights. I've gotten a streak for distracted driving things. So remember I was saying I've never been dinged for holding my phone? I have been given a driver streak for not holding my phone when I'm damn sure that I had used my phone that same week.
will we be able to see, this is a question from Jonathan Vick on Facebook, will we be able to see the forward camera footage via either an app or web portal?
Yes. So there is an app that goes with it, and we're still kind of testing some stuff out.
Yes, there is an app that goes with it. I'm going to skip that one. How long does it take to install? We'll skip that one as well. Yes, there is an app involved. Right now, I have it on the new tablet that we're testing. The GeoTab tablet is an app called Driver Eye, which is the same name as what's on the camera. And that app is where you can go in and you can see your driver scores. You cannot, however, view your videos unless your dispatcher has flagged one and sent it to you. Right now, the videos are being sent through loops and hoops and whatever. Anything that they flag as needing to be looked at, your dispatcher has to manually send to you. Their plan in the future is to bypass that to where, I guess, just sends it straight to you and lets you know, hey, you fucked up here. Here's what you did. But you can only see events right now that your dispatcher or your safety manager choose to specifically send to you. The installation process was at least 2 hours long. They took apart both sides of my dash because they had to wire the camera into the truck. And then they also installed the GeoTab tablet, which had to be wired into the truck. They both had to be powered. So it took 2 or 3 guys 2 hours to install the system in the truck.
Portion looks like that is available on the Prime mobile app.
It is, and at tomorrow's safety meeting, I've actually been working on a presentation that I'm going to give some really good examples of all different types of kind of like key on, key off, in motion, not in motion, what all of those videos look like. So I'll have some good examples tomorrow on the Friday morning meeting, and then we'll get those posted as well.
Shameless plug there, huh?
It is. Check me out tomorrow morning.
I don't know why they didn't have demonstrations ready to go. They should have. That would have made a lot of people feel a lot better about this whole thing. Move on.
Okay, how picky is Prime going to be if we vape or snack?
So far, I have not gotten a single ding for snacking, for drinking, for eating. They're not supposed to ding you for vaping, for smoking, for any of it. However, the fine print for that is you have to be able to keep your eyes on the road. Your head has to stay facing forward because the camera will detect if you are looking away from the road for too long. So if you've got like a drinks cooler on the floor next to you and you reach over to it and you end up being really bent down and you kind of look away from the road, it will ding you for that.
Oh, normal human activity, which means eating, drinking, smoking, which we don't recommend that anybody smokes. You should quit because you add time onto your life. But smoking, scratching your face, scratching your beard. I'm a bearded one. Scratching your bald head if you don't have any hair, whatever the case may be. Those are normal human activities that will have no effect on the sensor.
Quote-unquote normal human activities, I would say, also includes yawning. Many people yawn simply from boredom. It doesn't necessarily mean you're tired. And yet, the very first week I had the system, I was given a driver drowsiness alert by the system because I was yawning. And ever since then, I now have an unconscious habit of stifling my yawns. I've become an expert at yawning through my nose. And even when I don't, when I'm not driving, when I'm not behind the wheel, I'm finding myself stifling my yawns because it's become such a habit now. I'm going to jump forward.
No secret that we've had some challenges with our CSA scores. And I do feel like one of the top priorities in doing this project, both inward and outward facing, is compliance. When we operate in an arena, we don't get to make up the rules of the game. The rules of the game are what they are. We have to learn to play within it.
So I'm just going to ignore that whole piece because I'm assuming that it's them saying, hey, part of the reason we're doing this is because it's benefiting us. And by us, they mean themselves with the whole CSA score thing. because the CSA score and the insurance has been brought up before. And I guess Prime does a lot of their own insurance because they're so big they can't like find a company that'll do it for them. But as a lease driver, I pay into insurance, and if I hit a deer or something, it's like $1,000 automatic deductible. And I haven't heard anything to suggest that having the camera on board my truck is going to reduce my insurance costs.
Multiply that times 52, that's a whole bunch of handheld device write-ups. Our peers in that same group, when we talk to them, they get about 5 as well, but they get about 5 per year. So the numbers are vastly skewed. We've got a big uphill battle as it pertains to those CSA basics and compliance if we're not operating with the same equipment.
Okay. Can the dash cam, can you create an event? Like if you witness an accident or see something on the road?
Yeah, it's super easy. There's buttons on the side of the camera, and if nothing else, that's a great
There's a button on the bottom of the camera.
way to flag just that period in time. And if we need to go back and pull more video, we can. I will say that I've already pulled 2 from parking lots and 1 from like as a witness for a different accident for the police, just to go and investigate those. Like 2, truck wasn't on, got to go back, find exactly who did the damage, everything else, got all the information, and 1 as a witness to an accident. So really cool to be able to go back and do that and provide that kind of just extra piece of information.
And this kind of goes along that same lines. This wasn't a situation where it was a manual. This is a situation where the driver actually had an accident and the claimant made some false statements to insurance and police that were not consistent with what actually happened. And of course, we were able to go back and pull the video from that exact time and that exact location, and we've been able to successfully deny the claim.
And that's fantastic and all, but a lot of us already have our own dash cams on board to do that exact thing. I have one. I have my own dash cam. It is a 2-camera system, and I have used it a couple times to say, no, this is the reality of what happened in this event. So, I don't know, the big difference there is I guess I have control over my camera.
That would have been a significant claim, but now it's 0. So.
And I guess I will say also that, we can go back and pull video for right about 4 days. So if it's been more, and if you can't hit the button, you're in a situation where, it's not safe to touch that button. You just have to send us a message. We can go back and pull the video from that time, but we only get about 4 days. That's all that the cameras will hold. And so, it's very important to be timely with that. So we can't go back 5 months and pull video. It's encrypted and it's stored on that camera for a very small amount of time. And if it's gone, it's gone. So it's important to report those very timely.
So before we get to the next question, Brian, if you would kind of address when we do have a need to go back, we need to go back 3 days from now. What does it look like when you get to the point where it is in privacy mode and it kind of goes around, that deal?
Yeah. So, if you were not in motion or those kind of things, there is absolutely no inward video. Like, it is just a black solid box. Like, it does not exist. And any time that we pull that video, that privacy, if it's an inward video, whatever it may be, that blurred portion is always there. There is no way to remove it. That is done like in transit. So there is no way that we can get.
There's that term. The blurring is done in transit. What does that mean? Is it done in the cloud? Is it done on the camera? If it's done on the camera, that would make me feel a lot better to know that, yeah, okay, it's done on the camera. Nobody legitimately should have access to unblurred, unaltered video. But if it's done in the cloud, then theoretically somebody could get a hold of it. What does in transit mean?
get any of that unblurred video. So if something happens in your passenger seat, something, who knows what could possibly happen, but if you're stopped at a stoplight and somebody comes knocking on that window, whatever may happen, there's no way for us to go back and get that. So what is blurred is always blurred.
Clayton's tuned in here. He said that the questions can be a little tough to hear, so I'm going to try to talk louder. We've had several questions about cost. I know Daryl hit on that during the video a little bit, but can you talk about what the cost to the operator actually will be?
Sure. So Daryl stated, and he has emphatically stated, that we believe so much in this technology, and if done right and it does what we say it is going to do, and if it does what Netradyne tells us it's going to do, the cost savings for both Prime and the individual operator, it's worth Robert's investment. That there's no cost to any cameras that we're installing now, and all of the lease payments for the 2025 models have already been put in place, and they will not change. So no cost to the driver for any 23 or 24 models or any of the next year's model 25.
Basically, they're going to install them just like they would any other safety system, that it will be a default to the truck and therefore not an additional cost to the driver. That being said, I don't see a cost savings either. Like I said, there's been nothing that I've heard about like a reduced cost for my insurance because I have one.
All right. Okay, this is good. With the transition to the different ELD, will we lose the ability to crawl, like the 5 mile an hour under? Will we lose that, or will they continue to be able to do that and not start the clock?
They will continue, because that is an FMCSA rule. So that is part of it. So under 5 miles an hour will not move you to the drive line. But as soon as drive line.
One of the major concerns on the survey that we sent out through the mobile app was the penalization of drivers, if they have an incident. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure I can. So we've always been a training company and a coaching company. One of the things you've probably never seen at Prime Incorporated, you've never seen a driver get written up or a driver issued a suspension or a fine or anything like that. That's just not the way we operate. We operate off of the mindset that we have a professional group of safety associates and a very professional group of fleet managers that provide coaching, they provide counseling, they provide resources to help drivers be successful. If a driver does forget to put on the seatbelt, now again, just a reminder that there's an in-cab audible alert that goes off before Prime gets any indication of what's going on. So if you wake up this morning, you get rolling, forget to get your seatbelt, go ahead.
Wait, so the pre-audible warning on the seatbelt is coming. It doesn't exist at this exact moment in time. It is kind of, that one is just, it creates that alert if you don't have it on once you reach a certain mile per hour threshold. Almost all of the other alerts do give that audible warning first before the video is captured.
We'll use cell phone as an example.
Cell phone. It gives you a chance. It gives you, I think, 30 seconds to put that device down before the event is captured. So if you correct, no event is created.
So yeah, if you're driving down the road and it decides you're following too close to the guy in front of you, you do get an audible alert. It says something like check following distance or something like that. And that gives you basically a 20 or 30 second countdown to get off of whoever you're following before it will trigger an event and start recording.
There's just a couple ones that we're still working on with that pre-audible alert, but most of them do give you kind of a...
Also, it's really difficult to understand what it's saying, and if you've got like a window open or you're playing music, you might not hear it at all. It's really hard to hear them.
Warning before anything is actually captured.
And after that, we will go through our same process that we go now. If you are written up for a handheld device or written up for a seatbelt, we'll bring you in, we'll have you take our PSC, Safety Certified class. We'll get you some coaching with both your fleet manager and one of the safety supervisors.
But we really like those audible alerts. We like that it gives anybody a chance to correct whatever it may be. So just a couple of them don't have it right now, and we're working on those.
We have a question here from somebody who's a part of the test group. It says, when will we be able to get the Qualcomm taken out if we're in the test group?
Well, if you're in the test group, I'll let you know that you'll be the first ones to get that Qualcomm out when the time comes. So we're really hoping, we haven't set a firm deadline quite yet, because we do have getting rid of the Qualcomm is quite a bit. You know, that means that we're also testing new navigation, because the navigation package that runs on those Omnitrax units is not something that's available on the tablet base that we're looking at now. It also is a couple of different items with some different weather packages and some other things. That means change.
So she's talking about this new GeoTab. And generally speaking, I'm happy with the GeoTab. It's much more responsive than the Qualcomm. There are a few bugs, and supposedly they're not going to make a full transition to the GeoTab until they get all the bugs worked out. They're really pushing with GeoTab's makers, whomever it is. I don't know if they're called GeoTab or whatever, but the tablet is called GeoTab. They're really pushing with them to have it as near to perfect as possible before they're going to accept it and put it in the entire fleet. Right now, the only reason they would make a jump ahead of time to jump on getting the GeoTabs installed will be if Omnitrax Qualcomm shuts down, which apparently they're on the verge of and could happen any day, according to my dispatcher. Do we have any more camera-related questions?
Is it when an incident is triggered?
It is somewhere between 20 seconds and 1 minute. It depends on kind of the event. So different events have different lengths of capture, but most of them are recorded in 1 minute segments.
Will the video be time-stamped and will it show speed?
Yes and yes.
Yes.
So those are all there. So it will show exact speed.
Not only does it show your exact speed, this system knows what the speed limit is on the road on which you're driving.
The videos have the ECM data from the truck. It also has a display of the camera's GPS kind of coordinated speed, and it has a bunch of other information on there. So it's all included.
Following it.
Oh, and following, if it's a following distance one, it does have kind of measured following distance in front of you with all the vehicles, with nice little boxes and following distance.
The following distance that the camera calculates is based on the AI calculating distance over time. So it calculates your following distance based on your GPS position and where it thinks the thing you're following is. It is not integrated with the radar. It is separate from the radar. I have noticed a couple times now that if I'm sent a video for following distance, the following distance metrics in the video look different than what I remember seeing on my radar screen.
Another concern from the survey was just the theme of micromanagement. We run pretty lean at Prime, right? What do people have time to sit around and watch you drive all day?
So what we've really seen, and this is kind of it's a little bit of a generalization here, but I'm gonna be real honest, is so far in the month of May, we've generated just a little over 2,000 alerts. 1,000 of them have all been green stars. So all of those are our drivers doing the right thing at the right time. And then once after about a week of having it on the truck, there's almost no alerts generated. Most of the time, it's just maybe some bad habits somebody's picked up along the way, or just some little tiny things, and they get corrected, and we really just haven't seen it. So
here's the thing: they're not being corrected; they're being hidden.
Until we kind of get to scale, it'll be hard to determine. But so far, the drivers are doing really great.
I think I reported in staff that and the month is not quite
It's like me and my yawning. I'm hiding it because I don't want to get an alert for it.
over yet. So I think we're at day 23 for the month of May. Our green zone score as a group, so everybody that has the camera installed is 970. 970. Our goal fleet wide is to be like 825, 850 on a good day. So for that group, so shout out to that group that's testing it. These are some absolute superstars, and from day to day, a lot of them have really figured out the green stars and are boosting up their score. So I'm really looking forward to being fleet wide and being able to push the folks that write the checks and make the dollars happen to incorporate this into a service incentive for our drivers. I'm sorry, safety incentive for our drivers. So I think we're at the 30-minute time period, and they're kicking us out of this.
So that was last week's. Let's jump ahead to this week's.
Good afternoon. This is Dennis Davis in the Safety Department at Prime. I've got the ever beautiful and intelligent Brianne with me, and we're here for session 2 of the Netradyne cameras talk with all of our friends and out in the industry. This is session number 2, Brianne. So hopefully we'll get some new and interesting questions. We have had some consistent themes in the past, and for folks that this is your first time watching, thank you for joining us. We would really appreciate it if you went back and watched some of the last live we did, especially the announcement from May 10th that our these types of technological advances, right?
Yep. And then we did a live last week. Additional questions we got out there right now.
So going back to last Friday's safety meeting, you really did a fantastic job of just kind of peeling back the onion on the privacy piece. So you want to just kind of hit the bullet points of that real quick, starting with the inward facing blur, etc.
Absolutely. So the cameras are continuous recording. That's how the AI technology works. So what we have is privacy mode enabled. So the inward facing camera, if the key is off, is completely disabled. There's absolutely no video inside the cab. If the key is on, but the vehicle is not in motion. So if you're stopped somewhere, if you're in a parking lot, if you're at a fuel island, whatever it may be, key on, but you're not in motion, it is 100% blurred on the inside. So you can't see anything.
You've heard all this already.
Kind of the 3 inward type text, any G-force or sees any motion, it will kick itself back on and record. So those are kind of the
100 hours and retrieve any information, any recorded information if we need to. How does that work from an inward facing standpoint? If you go back, yesterday at my break time, truck wasn't moving, key was off, like you talked about. Can you still go back and retrieve that?
So you can, but it is only right now safety is the only ones who can go back and pull any video that's not an event-based video. So nobody can go back and just watch continuous video or anything like that. It is that event-based. But if there was an incident or something that you need to go back, you were parked in a parking lot, somebody hit you, key was off, there is only external video. So the driver, everything.
Weeks. And one of the things that drivers have concern about is effectiveness. And really what they put, drivers question if the camera will actually improve safety. They argue that better training and addressing other factors would be more effective. And that's a statement in itself. My professional opinion, whether we agree with it or not, better training is having better technology to improve that training. And coming from an athlete's background, of course, I'm not an athlete anymore, but grew up an athlete and watching game film every Monday, being able to review what I did on, that last week's game. that is a quote unquote game changer, to able to watch it over and over. And that's why they get the term Monday morning quarterback. Sure, we get to Monday morning quarterback. The drivers, in an instant of an incident, they have a split second to make a decision. Where when you have video, whether you're the safety department, the coach, or you're the driver, the player, you have the ability to play and rewind and play and rewind, to put it in slow motion, to break it down step by step, second by second, and see potentially what could have been done differently from an athletic standpoint, what you did on that particular play. Was it a habit situation that you've gotten into? Were you fooled by something that you saw? Or
that all sounds fantastic, except that the system doesn't allow for context. So he's making out like, well, you can use this new system as a learning tool. It can show you what you're doing wrong and where you can improve. Okay, well, that sounds all fine and dandy. But the system does not take into account any kind of context. So take following distance as a metric. It is a known fact that trucks in our fleet on the lease side can only do 65 miles an hour. So if you come up behind someone who's doing 63, you're going to want to go around them. So you have two choices. You either get in the left lane and take forever to pass them and annoy everyone behind you, or you get up really close to them so that you're in the left lane for as short a time as possible. Well, while you're doing that, you're following too close and you're getting zinged for it. The system does not care about that context. As far as they're concerned, you were following too close. They don't care why. They only care that you did the thing. I'm going to have to pause it there. My light has turned green, which means I need to go. If anyone watches this after the fact and has any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And I will try and remember to pick this up where I left it off. Come on, drop down. Okay. I will be back later. I'm pushing the button. What the fuck? Did it stop? I don't know what the fuck it's doing.